Hello everyone, today we'll be discussing some heavy topics. Listen, I know a lot of people aren't into hearing stuff like this, but it's really important. Alright, let's dive in. Charles Follies was the first black football player playing for the Shelby Blues in Shelby, Ohio. In 1920, when the NFL was founded, they only had a few black players. This, however, would end quickly. After 1926, all 5 players would be out of the league. In 1933, 2 more black players joined the league, but they both left after the season. Joe Lillard left the league after getting into a lot of fights and not being invited back to the Chicago Cardinals. Ray Kemp left the league after wanting to pursue a career in acting. In 1933, George Marshall Preston, the owner and founder of the Boston Braves, aka the Washington Redskins, or now known as the Washington Commanders, refused to allow any black football players on his team. By 1936, the NFL had no black players on any of its teams. Most joined the Pacific Coast Professional Football League, while 6 joined the American Association. Unlike baseball, football had never had Negro leagues, and any teams that were started were kind of late since the major leagues were already beginning to integrate again. In 1939, the University of California, Los Angeles, or UCLA, had one of the greatest collegiate football players in history, Kenny Washington. Washington was a very popular African-American player, and his team garnered national attention in the print media. After he played in the College All-Star Game in August 1940, George Halas asked him not to return to LA because Halas wanted to sign him. After a week or so, Washington returned to LA without a contract. Washington spent a majority of the early 40s in the Pacific Coast League with the Hollywood Bears. During the 40s, the U.S. was involved in the Second World War. Washington avoided military service as he got injured that forced him to miss the 42 season and service altogether. After healing up, Washington was a rarity during this time as he was healthy and available. However, no NFL team was interested in signing him. When the Rams moved to LA, the team sought to play in the publicly owned Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. This decision created pressure for the Rams to integrate since white and black residents' taxes paid for the stadium. The LA Tribune was especially outspoken since their sports editor, William Clare Haley Harding, was an African American man. As a result of this, Washington was signed by the LA Rams on March 21st, 1946. Before his first NFL season, Washington underwent surgery in both knees after torn cartilage removed from his left knee. Washington played for the Rams for 3 years before retiring in 1948, when 80,000 people attended his final game and the entire stadium gave him a standing ovation. After Washington was signed by the Rams, the NFL was slow to integrate until the Detroit Lions signed Mel Grooms and Bob Mann in 1948. No black players were selected in the NFL until the 1949 NFL Draft. In 1949, George Taliaferro was selected in the 13th round, but he signed with the AAFC instead. In 1946, the Browns signed Marion Motley and Bill Willis, and by that time, the NFL merged with the AAFC in 1950. 6 of the NFL's 8 teams had African American players. George Marshall Preston is quoted as saying, "We'll start signing Negroes when the Harlem Globetrotters start signing crackers." No, he didn't actually say crackers. He said whites, but if you're going to use Negro instead of black, I'm going to quote you and saying cracker instead of white. Not sorry. Anyway, let's talk about Jon Gruden. October of 2021, a league investigation into the Washington football team for workplace misconduct uncovered emails that the Las Vegas Raiders coach had sent to then Washington Redskins GM Bruce Allen, where he used racist, misogynistic, and homophobic slurs. These emails were written from 2011 to 2018, very recently. Gruden called the NFL commissioner an F-slur and a, quote, clueless anti-football pussy. John also said that the St. Louis Rams were pressured into drafting openly gay defensive end Michael Sam, what the former coach Jeff Fisher had debunked. Gruden also said that the players protesting the national anthem should be fired, referring specifically to former 49ers safety Eric Reid, calling the current president of the United States, when he was a vice president, a nervous, clueless pussy, and also using a racist stereotype, saying that the National Football League Players Association Executive Director DeMaurice Smith has, quote, lips as big as Michelin tires, unquote. Gruden and Allen were also sent emails with topless women, including 2 Washington Commanders cheerleaders. Gruden resigned from the Las Vegas Raiders on October 11, 2021, and sued the NFL and Goodell for exposing his emails. 538 writer Michael Tesler did a statistical investigation after hearing about former Eagles coach Chip Kelly being accused of jettisoning the good black players by former Eagles running back LaShawn McCoy and offensive lineman Trey Thomas. Tesler, using Best Ticket's unofficial 2014 NFL player census, the Oakland Raiders had the most black players on the team with 79.2% in 2014. Gruden took over the Raiders again in 2018 after being signed to a $100 million 10-year deal with the Raiders. In 2017, the roster's rating was 82% black, and by 2019, the racial composition decreased to 69.0%, to 67.1% in 2020, and 67.2% in 2021. As former NFL receiver Keyshawn Johnson had put it, quote, "A team is put together by the makeup of a coach, and a coach wants a certain personality." Okay, I know this is not something everyone agrees with, but it needs to be said and discussed. Do not attack anyone discussed here, because mostly people got what they deserved, except for George Marshall Preston. If you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead and subscribe. I don't do this enough, but I do want to do this as a career, so subscribe. And also, if you like the video, go ahead and like it. If you hate it, go ahead and dislike it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and thank you everyone who has subbed. I will see you next time.